I'm Whitney Carruth, and this is a
Hello,
presentation
I'm
on
Whitney Carruth, and this is a presentation on Vygotsky's social interaction theory. Lev Vygotsky, founder of an unfinished Marxist theory of human cultural and biosocial development referred to as socio-cultural theory or cultural historical psychology. He was an advocate for a science of Superman, a new psychological theory of consciousness and its relationship to the development of higher psychological functions. He was also the leader of the Vygotsky Circle. The Vygotsky Circle, also known as the Vygotsky-Luria Circle, was an influential network of psychologists, educationalists, medical specialists, physiologists, and neuroscientists associated with Vygotsky and Alexander Luria. The work of the circle contributed to the foundation of the integrative science of mind, brain, and behavior. That children construct knowledge, learning can lead development, development cannot be separated from its social context. Language plays a central role in mental development. And Piaget. Many say that Piaget and Vygotsky got some of their influences from each other, so I wanted to do a little chart to show where they had differences. As you can see in their theories, sociocultural context, Vygotsky puts a strong emphasis on this, while Piaget has little emphasis. In constructivism, Vygotsky is a social constructivist and Piaget is a cognitive constructionist. Their theories on stages is Vygotsky doesn't believe there are general stages of development, while Piaget, as we all know, has a strong emphasis on stages of development. The key processes in development and learning, Vygotsky, his is the zone of proximal development, which is the ZPD, which we'll go over in a little bit, and scaffolding. Piaget is, his key processes in development and learning are equilibrium, schema, adaptation, assimilation, accommodation. There may be more. I know a few of my colleagues are doing reports on Piaget, so they have more information on that. Their theories on the role of language, Vygotsky finds this a major theory. Language plays a powerful role in shaping thought, and Piaget finds it to be minimal. Language provides labels for children's experiences. Their theories on teaching implications, Vygotsky establishes opportunities for children to learn with the teacher and more skilled peers, and Piaget believes that supports children to explore their world and discover knowledge. Depth on Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory. Social interaction plays a fundamental role in the development of cognition. Every function in the child's cultural development appears twice, first on the social level and later on the individual level. First between people, interphysiological, and then inside the child, intraphysiological. That I put together explaining the principle of social development theory. You take the two, the blue and the purple, the cognitive development is limited to certain range at any given age. You add in full cognitive development requires social interaction, and what you get out is social interaction, the more knowledgeable other, and the zone of proximal development. And we'll go into each of those in a little more depth. I believe that children are curious and driven toward being actively involved in their exploration of learning. Much of this learning takes place through social interactions. Learning is cooperative or collaborative in nature. So I would suggest, and I'm going to try this in my class as well, that the next time you are doing a group project or you give your students some free time in class, try and see how this social interaction plays out amongst the peers and the students in your class. It might be interesting to see how much of this is actually true of the learning and the social interactions. It goes back through all the different ways that the child is developed through cultural values, beliefs, traditions, social interaction with parents, siblings, peers, and teachers, and language and communication skills. A little more about one of Vygotsky's theories, the more knowledgeable other. And at first, when I was looking into this, I thought it was a little different, but it's actually very straightforward when you read it. The more knowledgeable other is a person that has more knowledge or ability than the learner does that can help the learner learn. So this could be a teacher, or it could be a peer that may be ahead of where the other student is that can help them learn. Goes into the zone of proximal development. So you can see here in our outer ring is what the student can't do, what I can't do. The purple ring is what I can do with help, and the green ring is what I can do, what I can do on my own without any help. The zone of proximal development falls within the purple ring of what I can do with help. The zone of proximal development is a level of development attained when children engage in social behavior. Full development of the ZPD depends upon full social interaction. The range of skill that can be developed with adult guidance or peer. Main theories, which ties into the zone of proximal development, is scaffolding. Within the zone, the structure that enabled an individual to move forward in their ability was termed scaffolding. Scaffolding is an incremental change in information support that steps the learner up to the highest level they can achieve with support. This gain in knowledge would be an example of intermental learning, whereas the individual undertakes the new skill on their own. They have accomplished instrumental learning. When the individual is able to transfer the newly learned skill to a different context, which may require abstract thought, the learning has become decontextualized. This means the individual does not have to remain in the physical situation in which they learn the skill. They are also able to imagine a scenario and use hypotheodeductive reasoning to formulate an answer to a question which is abstract in nature. And I'm sure many of you, being new to teaching, or even some veterans, learn and hear a lot about scaffolding. So I found it interesting that this is one of the places that it came from, where it originated. About language and cognitive development. Vygotsky believed that thought and language are initially separate systems from the beginning of life, merging at around 3 years of age, producing verbal thought, which is inner speech. Vygotsky believed that cognitive development results from an internalization of language. That I talked about, and what Vygotsky's social interaction theories state. Vygotsky places more emphasis on culture affecting cognitive development. He places considerably more emphasis on social factors contributing to cognitive development. More and different emphasis on the role of language in cognitive development. And adults are an important source of cognitive development. So I'm in my teaching, I am going to be looking at some of these theories and how they play a role with the development of my kids. I teach pre-K, so they're 4 and 5-year-olds, and I'm very excited to see and possibly use some of these theories in my classroom, and I hope that you all enjoyed this and learned a little bit more about Vygotsky. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my video.